second video of this. Last week we had a lot of suggestions and advice and a lot of positive words, and we appreciate all of that. We're just going to keep trying to grow this thing and make it into something that we can all be proud of. So this week we'll be going over the week of August 11th. I'm happy to be here again, and I hope you're excited. This was actually a big week. It was slow starting at first, and then it just took off all of a sudden. So let's get started. First of all, I would like to start with a positive story. Maybe it doesn't affect many people here, but I thought it was really cool, and I was excited to see it, so I wanted to share it with you too. This comes from the Wisconsin State Journal concerning Pegasus Games there in Madison. There's a shop that has been open and running for something like 40 years, and this article circles around Miss Lori Aitken, who is a co-owner and is looking to sell the store, but they're kind of combing through people to make sure the right person buys it. But I just thought it was super encouraging well, let me just read from the article. Now, after a nearly 40-year run, Aitken, her brother-in-law Terry Aitken, and a longtime friend Mark Anderson want to sell their store to a new generation. They hope the new owners can pump more energy into the business and better use social media to promote and market Pegasus to current and new clientele who don't need a computer or phone to enjoy a friendly competitive game. Now, I will say that is one thing that sticks out in this article. They are staunchly against anything that has a screen, any kind of tablet or computer or phone. But if we focus on the positive things, it talks so much about this shop that's been around for 40 years, has changed so many people's lives. Madison is now a huge gaming hub, apparently, with several stores, several large stores dedicated to board games and tabletop gaming. And if you go to the Wisconsin State Journal and look at this article, you'll be able to see a lot of pictures of her inventory in the store itself, and there's even a picture just a little ways down of King Domino terraforming Mars. Not only do they have like war games like Warhammer and all this, they also have just simple board games. And again, these board gaming has been around for so long. Obviously, this lady has been doing this for 40 years. It says that she first began playing D&D in 1975. And I'm new to this. I've only been in this world for maybe 2 or 3 years now, and it is so encouraging to know that there are people out there that have been board gaming seriously all their life and are dedicated to this close knit family, this community that's been made around this. It even said something about the Pegasus Games. This store has helped develop some gaming things for the university there at Madison. So it's really encouraging, and it's a great article. And like I said, it's all about they're selling this store, but they're very particular on who they're going to sell it to. Not only do they want to serve a new clientele, but also sell it to someone who is into gaming and is going to continue the legacy that they set up. Like I said, doesn't really affect many people if you're not in the Madison area, but I think as a community as a whole, it's very uplifting, and I don't know, I was excited about reading it. Before I go on, I know that there are a ton of people out there that do Magic the Gathering coverage. I'm not going to today, but there are several happenings that came up this week with how they're changing their tournament styles, and then also there is an article put out by Dot Esports. So since they're streaming a lot on Twitch and all, they're getting a lot of coverage, but this article seems to think that the coverage is not either isn't catching everyone, or everyone that's watching is not getting tapped in. there's a lot happening with Magic. I think someone else could be a lot more authoritative on this issue. I'm not, but I just wanted to say, if you have any interest in that at all and you haven't heard any of the news, maybe look into that, because there has been some stuff happening. There anyway, I'll move on. Just type it in Google and see what it brings up, because they had, like I said, I think they're creating a tournament for the digital side of things, not only the in-person card game. And there was a lot about how much money you could win. They were implementing a few more people into the card game tournament. So anyway, I won't, like I said, I won't spend any more time on it. I've already spent more time than what I thought I would. So just if you're interested in that, look more into it. Our next story comes from the Durango Herald, with Eric, and I this last name is something else. I'll just say he is 11 years old and he's a fourth grader, but he's developed his own board game, and his family have come together behind him to create a business for board games called E-Family Games. And it is just this close-knit family that saw this boy's dream of creating a board game. And it maybe dream is too much of a strong, it's too strong of a word. He developed it for a school project after doing some research on a Filipino eagle, an eagle in the Philippines that are endangered, and in order to help them, he's created this board game. Then the family created a board game company, and then proceeds from the board game are going to go to a foundation that is helping this eagle, who are severely endangered. There's only 400 known nesting couples of these eagles in the wild. The game was on Kickstarter for just a hot minute, and I'm wondering if it kind of, by the comments on their Kickstarter page, it kind of seemed like they had a lot of momentum, more than what they were expecting, and so they canceled it with just $2,300 out of their $150,000 goal. Maybe they just got a little too intimidated and needed to regroup a little bit. That's what the comments that they posted seem to say. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because this kid is 11 years old and is killing it out there. The board game is called Saving Eagles. If this is something that seems interesting to you, they have pictures. It's the Durango Herald. It was posted August 11th, and it's a pretty interesting read. His dad has runs a nonprofit now, but has at one point apparently done some things with major retailers like JCPenney's, and he's just stepped in to create this company. And it just goes to show you, the tabletop market, the board game market, is on fire right now, and I don't think we're going anywhere. So on that note, like I said, if you're interested, that's Durango Herald. Go back and look at that. But on that note of board games killing it right now, I want to talk about Spin Master, who is now apparently the second biggest board game maker. I'm assuming outside of Hasbro. I meant to do some research and I just now remembered that I didn't look that up. But I'm assuming Hasbro would be the number one, and Spin Master is number two, after they have acquired the game headbands. They've acquired global rights for this. This article comes from the Toy Book, and I'll begin reading. Spin Master, which acquired the rights to headbands for the U.S. and Mexico in 2011, has acquired the full international IP rights for the brand. You all know what headbands is. You strap the thing to your head and you say, "What am I?" And just the hilarity ensues, apparently. But the timing of I'll continue. The timing of this strategic acquisition for our powerhouse brand headbands is serendipitous, since Anton Rabi, co-founder and co-CEO of Spin Master, with the opening of our new Long Island city office and the addition of many talented games industry experts to our team, we're creating an epicenter for Spin Master Games. We're working hard to bring adults, kids, and families the best game experience. Now, you can read a little more about them, but I wanted to bring a few more meaty numbers to their from their quarter two results. I don't know how much of you'd be interested in this, but I'm super interested in we're number two. What does that mean? Spin Master posted solid results for its second quarter, showing a rebound on its Paw Patrol and a strong performance from brands such as Monster Jam, that's the monster trucks, and Bakugan. The Toronto based toy and entertainment company reports that gross product sales increased 1.2% in North America, a whopping 42.8% in Europe. So keep in mind that headbands thing was acquiring worldwide IP rights, however declined 1.7% in the rest of the world. However, gross profit increased 7.2% to $164.3 million, and overall gross revenue rose to $321 million. That is a 3% increase from 311.5 a year ago. The article goes on. Our second quarter results demonstrated the strength and diversity and depth of our innovative product portfolio, with positive momentum for many of our key brands, including blah, 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 blah. But I just want you to keep in mind that there are things happening down the toy aisle. Obviously, toys and games have always been a staple with a ton of money going on. But this company with the headbands thing, as much as we have going on Kickstarter, and as much as anyway, I just think it's super interesting. I'll move on. But if this sounds interesting to you, you can go back. The toy book, actually, I think 3 of the articles that I'm reading from today came from the toy book website. So you might go back. I think they're a magazine as well. About the industry. You might go back and take a look, because it's all very interesting to me. So the next article, like I said, comes from Toy Box, and this writer is Mary Cousin, I think is how you say it, CEO and founder of Chicago Toy and Game Group. Now it has a lot of quotes from CEOs and successful developers in the industry, and she has a lot of Kickstarter. She's researched and has a lot of Kickstarter stats that I'm not even sure where you would get these, but there's been this buzz going around of market values that a marketing group put out here a couple of weeks ago, that if you're in the business and it's worth it, you can buy this whole report for like, I don't know, $3,000 or something like that. And it has not only what's been going on in the tabletop market the past couple of years, but has a forecast of the next 7 or 8 years, I think. And of course, I can't obtain that, but there's been more and more articles these past couple of weeks that have been dealing with that, and I think that's what's caused this. If you're interested, I don't even know why I said that, but if you're interested, that's what I think. That's my opinion, and it's, I think, worth a lot. So let me start on this article as she starts right immediately with some great numbers. Board games remains a strong category, even though its sales are not rising at the incredible rate they have been for years. Global and U.S. game and puzzle sales last year declined 1%, as overall toy industry sales decreased by 2%, with sales still higher than 2016. So the trend has fallen, but we're still at a higher place than we were 3 years ago. Despite the loss of Toys R Us sales, statistics show that the games category is thriving, which obviously we know that already. Successful tabletop game projects raised $165.3 million on Kickstarter. Let me say that again. Successful tabletop games game projects raised $165.3 million on Kickstarter last year. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, that's an incredible number for crowd-funded tabletop projects, I'm going to say, yeah, that's incredible. But get this, that number is up 20% from 2017, according to ICO partners. The number of successfully funded tabletop projects also increased, so just the number of them increased from 2,105 to 2,336. So not only is the amount of money that's being funded is up 20%, we're also up another 200, so like 10% of the amount of projects on Kickstarter. So hobby game sales in the U.S. and Canada totaled, wait a minute, this is going to blow your mind, totaled 1.5 billion dollars last year. Now here, this is even crazier. That's down 3% when compared to the year prior. This decline was driven by a 14% decrease in collectible games, which was the only category of 5 to show sales declined. Growth in other 4 categories varied. Hobby card dice games, for example, stayed flat, while role-playing games increased 18%. That makes a lot of sense to me. D&D is the biggest right now, so that totally makes sense to me. So, and she goes on to talk a little bit more and has a ton of quotes. Ray Alder, Vice President of Mattel, David Norman, Goliath Games of North America. So it just goes on and on. USAopoly, The Game Aisle, which all of them have a lot of cool things to say, but not enough that I'm going to read them to you now, because if you're interested, you need to just go read them. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom of this article, like I said, this is from the Toy Book. She says again, Miss Mary Cusin says again, one trend not mentioned is the increasing conversation about the lack of diversity among game designers. Now, I'm not presenting this problem saying that I have a solution. I didn't know that this is a problem, and I'm glad that she's said this so that we know now. Of my list of more than 3,300 independent professional toy and game designers, many of whom attend the, I guess you call it CHITAG or SHITAG. Anyway, it stands for the Chicago Toy and Game Fair, Inventor and Innovation Conferences. About 7% of those attendees are female. 7% are female. A study of the top 200 Board Game Geek designers showed that only 2.4% are women. So less than half of even that 7% number are women. And 4.1% are non-white males. Let's hope, she says, a year from now these numbers increase and that we will be doing more and talking, more than talking about it. I have to say, I totally agree with that. As the trend grows that board games, just in general, are growing, board games are more than just whatever, cars or lumber or something like that. The what board games are in their basic element is bringing people together, and what should that look like other than diversity being king? So anyway, just something to keep in mind. This is a great article. All these quotes are super interesting, but I wanted to bring your attention the Kickstarter numbers and then also the diversity thing, because again, a person is so likely just to live in their own world and not look past the end of their nose. And so I'm here to tell you there's stuff going on out there, and if you can help, you should. So anyway, on to a more serious note. I think that we're all really worried about this tariff business with China. And we had some news pop up that is actually good. It's actually good news. And what's going on is we're still at the 10% tariff, obviously, right now. They've pushed back another 2 or 3 months the 25% tariff against China so that the inventory coming for Christmas will it won't affect that. Now, I can't say too much about the tariff. I shouldn't say too much because I'm not an expert. I barely can tie my shoes in the morning, and so I just wanted to bring it to your attention. This is from VG 24/7. The United States trade war with China conveniently won't affect holiday shopping. So I can tell you with the conveniently there that this is probably a biased article. I would say so. But anyway, the president's proposed 25% tariff against the video game and tabletop industries will be implemented a little later than planned. If you are worried about shelling out for extra for Switches this winter, Nintendo Switches, I think is what they're referring to. Trump's administration has delayed planned tariffs on phones, laptops, game consoles, whatever, until December 15th. This is 3 months later than the proposed September 1st deadline. And this is a quote from President Trump. What we've done is we've delayed it so they won't be relevant in this Christmas shopping season, just in case they might have an impact on people. So I think that that's great. Obviously, that's something that's scary. I've even heard a few people that are developing games that normally you can do it cheaper in China, of course, and they've looked at U.S. game makers just because it would be cheaper in that scenario, and obviously so. Now, if you're like me and you don't know much about it, Pandasaurus Games actually put out a great extensive article talking about how this affects them specifically. And of course, if you can't tell by now, I'm a numbers guy. That article is full of numbers. I won't talk about it today, but if you're interested, you should definitely go check out that Pandasaurus Games article talking about the tariffs. I even saw it circulating on Facebook a little bit a few days ago, so you should definitely check it out. And it gives you not just, this is what I think about the tariffs, it tells you real math about this is what I have going on personally in his own company, and I think that's just as good of a reference point than just us talking about it having no clue what it even actually means. So, moving on to the end of the show. We've made it. We've done it again. Here we are. I just, again, want to thank everyone for joining us. This is Board Game Closet News. What I want to implement maybe in the next week or two, we'll see how this works. But again, going back to, I want to always try to highlight that board games are about community. Board games are about making new friends and new connections. And I'd like to try to do that here. And what I need from you all is all the listeners and the like to go to Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Tag us in your favorite your favorite board game related social media post. I was trying to figure out a more elegant way of saying that, and I can't think of one. But I just want, even if it's encouraging, if it's funny, if it's hard hitting, whatever report, I want to know it all. I want to know what you all care about. And I think what I would like to see happen is we all just come together and support each other. So what is going to happen is these posts and reports and whatever pictures on Instagram that are important to you, let us know and we can highlight them here. I think I'm going to call it community highlights. It's kind of lame, but then again, it's got like a local news feel to it. So if that interests you at all, let us know what interests you, and we can highlight it here. If you have a channel that you think everyone should be subscribed to, if there's a Facebook page that you think everyone should like, let us know, and we can tell everyone about it. We want to be there with you. So keep that in mind. And I'll get off of here. I'll leave you alone. Thanks again for stopping by and listening to me. And again, just remember, my name's Bradley Johnson, and I'm telling you, support